So we're going to start working on using this vocoder. And the vocoder needs two devices. It needs two sounds. It needs the modulator, which is the sound which is going to affect the other sound, and it needs the carrier sound. The carrier sound is the sound that we actually want to work with. We're going to start with this file that's already open, and you'll find it in the outbox called Vocoder Demo. And what it has in it already is this subtractor synthesizer that I've created, and it has as well this little 4-bar riff that the subtractor is playing. So they're just simple chords. There's no real rhythm other than when they're changing, and that is what we're going to use as the carrier signal. So that sound, the synthesizer, is a sound we're going to hear. It's the notes we're going to hear, but not necessarily the rhythm. The rhythm is going to be created by the modulator sound, and in this case we're going to use a drum loop. We're going to go and create a Dr. Rex loop player, and then I'm going to load a Dr. Rex loop. I've picked this one. It can be almost anything you want. Okay, so I'm now going to put that to the track. We've already worked with the Dr. Rex, so that drum loop is now on the track as well as the subtractor. But what the vocoder is going to do is it's going to join them together. So we're now going to create a number of other devices that we need to finish this assignment, and we're going to create them and not attach them to anything because we do have to change the attachments. If I right click and I want to use the vocoder, which is down here, and if I hold the shift key, that will attach the vocoder, but it's not hooked up to anything. There's no cables to it because we're going to have to hook those manually anyway. So there's the vocoder. The other device we're going to use is a splitter. I'll explain how we're going to use that later, but we're going to create this splitter. So I'm going to create this spider merger and splitter. So there it is. What we're going to do is now we're going to hit the tab key. So if I hit the tab key in the computer, that spins everything around and I can see the cables. We're going to recable everything. We're going to reconnect it. So let's disconnect it. So I'm going to right click, say disconnect. I'm going to right click, disconnect the Dr. Rex. And the mixer is fine. There's the vocoder. Here is our splitter. The subtractor is going to be the carrier signal. The vocoder has two inputs for the carrier signal, but the subtractor only has one output. So this is where we're going to use a splitter. I'm going to go out of the subtractor again. I'm going to right click and I want to connect this to the spider audio and to the split input left. So that just connected it here. Now I want to come out of this and I'm going to connect this to the vocoder, the left carrier, and then again to the right carrier. So both sides of the vocoder are getting a signal. And then the Dr. Rex, we're going to connect on the vocoder to the modulator. It's the modulator. So I'm going to right click on the Dr. Rex's output and connect it to the vocoder to the modulator input. The subtractor is going into the splitter. From the splitter, which is really just the subtractor signal, it's going into the carrier input of the vocoder, and the Dr. Rex is going into the modulator input. And now we want to hear this. So we want to hear the vocoder. So I'm going to come out of the vocoder and connect it to the mixer, channel 1. So it's now connected. So I'll hit tab and turn this around. Let's go to our vocoder. You can see here, so this is the vocoder level here. And there's our vocoder. Let's turn this all the way to the left to dry and start playing this. So there's the drum sound. That's our carrier. Let's move this to 4-band and then turn all of these levels up. So what we want to do is not hear the drums, but have that drum pattern, have that drum, the frequencies from the drum affect the subtractor signal. So if we turn up you can hear, that's that original subtractor chord change, but it's now being sort of played by the drums. And we can turn this up, fool around with these to hear what kind of adjustments we get. But that's the idea of the vocoder. So in this case, this sound, the subtractor sound, would be the equivalent of Peter Frampton's guitar sound. And the drum beat is the equivalent of what he does with his mouth to shape the sound. You can try fooling around with these, see what these do with the EQs. Different parts of it are emphasized, but probably the best way, the easiest way is just to do it straight with the 4-band EQ. So the next thing to try and do is to see, I'm just going to turn this off, would be to see how you could use different devices as both the modulator and as the carrier. Remember, the carrier is what you want to hear. That's the sound that you want to hear. The modulator is the control. You could try and do the kind of voice thing where you could take a voice audio file and use that as the modulator. So that would be the next step to see if you could figure out how to do that.